Peace and love, everyone, and thank you for watching. I'm continuing my series on spiritual evolution, spiritual dimensions, and this video is about the spiritual eighth dimension. I'm almost finished with my series, and it's going to continue to get more and more interesting. So, I guess in order to talk about the spiritual eighth dimension, I think that I should recap about everything that I've talked about so far and try to do it very generally and quickly. Now, the first spiritual dimension that I talked about was the spiritual dimension directly above the dimension that we are in right now, which is the third dimension. Now, the first one is the spiritual fourth dimension. Within the spiritual fourth dimension talks, I talked about the dream world, the unconscious, the afterlife, the concept of heaven and hell. And when I say heaven and hell, I consider it as a mentality. You create heaven, you create hell, and also it's part of the karma that you accumulate in life through the actions you've taken, whether it be positive or not. And the next spiritual dimension that I talked about, it was the spiritual fifth dimension. Spiritual fifth dimension, it was basically about transcending your human experience and realizing that, this is not everything. Thinking higher, accessing your higher mind. And then the spiritual sixth dimension. In the spiritual sixth dimension, the key concept that I talked about was love. And not just plain old love, one-on-one selfish love. I'm talking love for everyone, a greater love, a love that's far beyond anything selfish. And in the last video I made, I talked about the spiritual seventh dimension. And in the spiritual seventh dimension, we transcended even higher. And there, the key theme was compassion. Coming to the full understanding that nothing is about you. You're not living for yourself. When others experience pain, you feel it right along with them. You feel their pain like it's yours, like literally like it's yours. So you're very compelled to do something when someone's feeling pain. And when they are experiencing joy, you feel that joy too. And it feels good to you, seeing them feel good. So this time I'm talking about the spiritual eighth dimension. And spiritual eighth dimension, each dimension goes higher, and each dimension, there's levels to each dimension. But unlike all of the other dimensions that I've talked about, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, and the seventh, the eighth dimension, it carries a very huge degree of responsibility. And people that incarnate as eighth dimensional entities, they come along every few hundred, every few thousand years. They're quite rare. And their main purpose is to elevate civilizations, elevate huge groups of people, move them forward in times where things seem really dark and bleak and everyone needs direction. And some examples of eighth dimensional incarnated entities are people like, if we just go to the somewhat recent past, people like, if we think Chinese, Confucius, Lao Tzu, great philosophers, Buddha, Jesus, Socrates, great philosophers, great Greek philosophers. Oftentimes they incarnate in clusters or in kind of one after another, but they're still very few and far between and rare. And even arguably, I'm from the United States, and a great civil rights leader in the United States, Dr. Martin Luther King, I think he was an eighth dimensional spiritual entity, because his incarnation almost single-handedly it changed the world. It definitely changed the United States, the social dynamics within the United States and the relationships among the people. But his message, it transcended beyond the United States and impacted the world, just like all the other eighth dimensional spiritual entities in the past, the recent past, and the even much further deep in history. So spiritual eighth dimensional entities, what is their purpose? Why are they here? Why do they come here? They come here to bring light during dark times, to elevate a civilization, to really take a civilization forward. And when you talk about spirituality, you often just think about morality only. But light shines along different spectrums. There's different colors of light, different spectrums of light. And spirituality manifests, and I'm comparing it to light, along many spectrums. So there's many different levels of the spiritual eighth dimension, and different light that people come to shine. People incarnate to shine different light. And oftentimes in the world, that creates conflict. Some groups of people come to misunderstand this light and this light, these lights being different, and that comes into conflict with one another. Those beliefs come into conflict with one another, but it's basically the same light, just different spectrums of that light. And a big part of the will of the Creator is harmony and evolution. We're here to evolve. We're here to get better. We're not here to regress. There's no question about that. We're here to get better. We're here to move forward. And again, when I say get better, there's different ways of getting better. It's not just all about morality. It's also about moving the group forward. And getting better is getting better for yourself, whether that be just self-improvement, becoming more intelligent, becoming more loving, becoming more loyal, becoming more compassionate. There's different ways, different things, and they all serve a purpose. And that purpose is to harmonize, and harmony is also part of the will of the Creator. So evolution and harmony are definitely wills of the creator. I don't think that can be argued. It would be very hard to argue that. So when someone shines their light, no matter how they shine their light, it's part of the reason is to move themselves forward. We should all be seeking self-improvement, but that the purpose of seeking the self-improvement should be to be for the improvement of the people around you, everyone around you. So in essence, you're not just making yourself better, you're making everyone better through making yourself better. It all starts from within. And in the spiritual eighth dimension, unlike the lower dimensions, 7, 6, 5, 4, there's a greater degree of freedom. You know, each dimension is a graduation. But in the spiritual eighth dimension, there's a greater degree of freedom. You get to choose that spiritual entity gets to choose when they incarnate. There's a lot more choice. You're closer to the creator. So you're more of a spokesperson for the creator. You know, there's a hierarchy, and someone that's more evolved, higher on the hierarchy, they're closer to the top, they're closer to the messenger, and the higher you are on this hierarchy, the better you can express and put out the light, the message of the creator in the way that the creator is trying to get the light put out. So that is the spiritual eighth dimension in a nutshell. It's about moving the world forward on a much grander scale. And, you know, a lot of us are directionless in how we go about life. And here's what I mean by that. I'm not saying people just don't have no direct, they don't know what they're doing or whatever. Some people don't. And even at times I didn't. And even sometimes now I don't. But there's some things that we can be definitely for sure that we're here to do. And like I mentioned before, evolution is definitely one. Harmony is definitely one. And we're on spaceship Earth, Mother Earth. And we're not just here to live, eat, play, and die. We're here to do certain things. We're here to evolve, make this place better, evolve this place, and leave it better than it was when we came here. And I think it helps a lot more by knowing these dimensions, so that when you encounter people, you understand what their place is, and you can recognize like which way to go. And like, you know, should I be doing this? Should I not be doing this? A lot of it, you know, we feel is just trial and error. But you have guides. I have guides. We all have guides. And I'm in this 3D reality just like you are. And I definitely have fourth dimensional entities guiding me. Sometimes I have no idea what to do next in life, and then suddenly just, I get guided. Someone says this way, not literally, sometimes literally, and I get shown the way, and it's magical. And I come to understand it now that it's likely my spirit guides helping me along my path to show me the way that I'm going, or the way that I should be going. And sometimes I've had times in my life where I did things that were not right, and sometimes I didn't know that they were not right, and I would get immediate, like some type of miraculous consequence from doing it. And it would be like I like you say don't say that, don't talk bad, because a lightning bolt will strike through your roof. I've had situations where it felt like a lightning bolt struck through my roof when I was doing things, and at those times I knew that it had to be some type of divine guidance. And again, I was doing things at times that I didn't think that they were, anything bad. But now that I look back on it, I could see why I was redirected, and even in some cases saved from myself. So that's my video on the spiritual eighth dimension. I hope you found this useful. I hope it was interesting to you. And, we have another one coming. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much. I love you all. You take care of yourself, and, continue. Thank you for staying with me on this spiritual evolution that I'm on. And I'm hoping to have some really interesting, eye-opening, more mind-expanding material in the future to come. Life, sometimes things it takes a spark to explode things, and I have faith that spark is coming for me, because I honestly feel that I have a fire inside me that drives me, and I have my own light to put out, and I just feel good doing this. So I love you all. You take care of yourself. You have a beautiful rest of your day. I'm gone.